Hate on the internet is nothing new. It's something that content creators like myself unfortunately have to get used to when posting on the internet. But recently I noticed people turning hating artists into an actual trend. Like, I'm not even joking, and that's what I'm going to discuss today. Hey dudes, it's Bree, and we're going to go back to the depths of TikTok to discuss a recent trend that has been unfortunately surfacing within the art community over there. If you're new though, I usually do art commentary like this, and just art in general, so if that's what you like, why not stick around? So a week or two ago, I came across a slideshow, aka the source of today's subject, that goes by a user Sweetbug that posted a screenshot of a conversation between them and a user named Emily. Basically, from what I know, Emily posted their art and Sweetbug commented criticism, basically telling them how to adjust their work. And I assume it was unsolicited based on Emily's response and Sweetbug apologizing for their comment. And for a rant on unsolicited criticism, personally I'm not a big fan of it, especially since you don't know style preferences and such, so it might not even be useful. And also the fact, to many, it could just come off as insulting. It makes them feel as if their work is in need of fixing, and while I do agree with the point that many try to make of, they're just trying to help, and how will they improve if you don't help? It's just rude to many artists. If you'd like to help, it takes less than 10 seconds to say, hey, are you open to critique? I've had many cases of unsolicited criticism that was literally just pointing out my style choices, like the eye shapes, the way I draw hands, and all of that. And maybe someone doesn't even want to strive for improvement, it's just a silly hobby they do for fun. Again, it could just come off as insulting to them. You don't have to focus on art as a profession, it could just be a hobby that you'd like to share for fun. I mean, like, who doesn't like sharing their hobbies? I mean, there could possibly be a giant stick up your ass, but you guys do know that others can have fun doing art, right, guys? Right? Let people do art how they want and for fun. Constructive criticism is good, yes. Improvement is good, yes. But there's a way to go about things in a polite manner. And if they don't want help, move on and maybe find someone in the future that might want or need it. Though I do understand a lot of people are just genuinely trying to be nice and give advice, but for other people it just comes off as rude, and I know you don't mean it, but that's how it kind of comes off for a lot of people. And just because you share your art online doesn't mean you were quote-unquote asking for it. Just because you publicly share something doesn't mean you were asking for anything. And yeah, just because it's bound to happen from time to time doesn't make it okay. And they're allowed to be upset about it. You as a viewer do not know the artist's goals or intentions, which is why asking first is also important, as you might stunt someone's growth for what they're aiming for. What if you come across an artist aiming for unrealistic anatomy but are still working on the proportions to fit their style? And you as a viewer who cannot read their mind comes along and gives them unsolicited advice that calls for more realistic anatomy. What then? Did you really help them if they're now straying farther from their goal? That's why when giving advice, it's important to know what their style choices are and what their goals are. And then with all those things in mind, you could try and formulate a way that you think will help them improve to their goal, and at the end remind them that it's their choice to take your advice and it's not some rule to follow. Plus, constructive criticism has just gone downhill, and now people are labeling blatant insults as constructive criticism and calling it a day. So that's also why it pisses off so many artists. They're allowed to be annoyed if you give them advice that they don't want. But in summary, the whole thing is just ask before you give criticism. It's just one, polite, and two, you can also make that a way to get what they want as a goal so you can help them in the best way. And if they don't want advice, don't get all pissy, just move on. There might be other artists who need advice and you could go help them. But now that I got my opinion on that part of the situation done, let's move on. I kind of brought that up since a lot of people started speaking on unsolicited criticism, and it was kind of just a back and forth argument, so I wanted to give my opinion on it. And when Emily saw Sweetbug's comment, they didn't take it lightly and basically said their art sucked and they didn't need advice from someone who draws quote-unquote bad art. Which, yikes, I get they might have been upset, it's valid to be upset, but they're clearly trying to be polite, so a simple, hey, maybe don't do that, it's pretty rude, is a lot better than just insulting their art, even if you believe you were insulting them in return. Two wrongs don't make a right. But Sweetbug replied and gave them the most out-of-pocket response I've ever seen. I'm not gonna lie, when I read that, I stared at my screen with my jaw dropped. Obviously, I don't think either were in the right. Unsolicited criticism is wrong, and responding like that was also pretty wrong. But that's not even the situation that intrigued me to make this video. No. I wouldn't have made this video if it was just a dumb argument in the comments section. Nah, that's just ridiculous. 3 comments don't warrant a whole video. But it's actually what happened after that made me really like, what? I have to make a video on this. Because after the slideshow with the comments went viral that Sweetbug posted, Emily got their comments flooded, which became a trend. The 8 or 8 trend. And if you're unaware, usually the slang "you ate" is a form of praise, like, oh, that outfit ate, or that drawing ate. But anyway, there would come endless slideshows, but people would repost their conversation and say 8 or 8. The first slide being someone eating, and then the second slide being their conversation. So with these endless slideshows of their conversation being made, people like attention, so what do? People began mass harassing people to be put in these type of slideshows. And it actually worked for many, but then people of course began to miss the entire point of the post. A creator replying to a comment in a nasty manner, and the commenter snaps back. Pretty toxic trend if you ask me. Like, come on guys, what does it have to be a negative? Can we have one vacation outside of Frown Town just once and talk about something happy? Bring back that cat theory trend or something, that was nice. But people began just going under mainly beginner artist posts and just starting to spit out the meanest crap known to mankind. It was all in the hopes of becoming the next quote-unquote Sweetbug. since Sweetbug originally did this on a beginner's post as well. A mutual of mine literally had this happen to them, and it was actually devastating. Especially since their art has improved throughout their videos, people just want to fit in and saw the hate before and continued hating. And the worst part is, they literally asked for tips too, and they got none. It's full of comments making fun of their art style. And Sweetbug literally apologized and became friends with Emily, so I don't know where y'all have been. There's no more hate in this entire conversation anymore. Why are we still hating if Emily and Sweetbug made up? Like, now the hate in comment sections of beginner artists are worse than before, and when the creator replies, they try to make some snarky remark that would be clever and oh so cool so they get put in the slideshow. Like, it's very obvious. This might be one of the worst art TikTok trends. Like, its entire premise, its gag, everything is just bullying a beginner artist to get their comments trending. No, you absolute clowns, you did not eat. You are a bully. There is nothing cool about what you did, you just look miserable. And again, these idiots missed the entire point of the trend. So you're just being a jerk for no reason, you just look stupid, you did the trend wrong. And saying there was a reason to begin with is just being generous. Because having a comment in a viral slideshow for being rude is not an achievement. That is a poor reason to do such a thing to someone. For 5 seconds of fame, people won't even remember your username by the time you scroll, for the cost of someone's confidence in their art. You're pushing beginner artists away and you're ruining the fun of art. Stop being a party pooper. And these people that spout insults don't even draw. Like, I get the whole, you don't have to be a chef to know the food tastes bad argument, but I feel like that applies more to constructive criticism or respectful opinions, not bullying. You're just discrediting someone's hard work despite not understanding how it feels to learn and how hard it can be for someone to learn art. And if you do art, how are you not ashamed? Would you like to share your beginner art to the class? Because it takes everyone time to develop and grow in their art. Artists should know the most on how art improves over time. You as an artist bullying a beginner for being a beginner is insane considering you too were once a beginner. Bullying doesn't help, it just makes things worse, and if you care oh so much about how someone's art looks, ask if they take tips and give polite yet honest criticism. And if they don't take criticism, an easy idea is to scroll. Because if you have the brain capacity to know how to type out a full insult, I think you're capable of swiping on your phone. But yeah, I guess that's all of my thoughts on this whole situation, but I just find the whole situation completely insane. Like, I know this is nothing new, but it's still crazy to think about. Like, imagine making bullying a trend. But what are your thoughts on this whole stupid trend and the whole original comment if you want? I don't know. I was just mainly focused on the trend itself and not really the 3 comments, but since they're the source of the entire trend, I wanted to talk about it a bit. Anyway, for sitting through today's Yap session, here are today's delicious brush codes. And with that, remember to love your art, love others, and love yourselves. Bye!